Hey Harbor Cove family, welcome to the Song of the Week. This week I get to share with you a little bit about the song Another in the Fire. It's a song that was released back in March of 2019 and it instantly became a hit song. But before we get into it, have you ever felt stuck? I'm sure most of you will remember back in 2008 when the housing market just crashed. I remember it well, because it's a time my family found ourselves very stuck. We had only been living in Gig Harbor for just a little over a year, and I was a stay-at-home mom to our girls who were just 3.5. Jim was self-employed as a contractor, and he had just finished a remodel on a house we had purchased to flip. That was the idea anyway. Well, in 2008, we ended up with 2 houses and no income for over 6 months. No houses were selling, no one was remodeling, we were stuck. And we had both houses on the market praying that the one we meant to flip would sell so we could keep our own home, wondering if we'd end up losing both houses and ending up homeless, considering the possibility of turning my grandparents' garage into a tiny home of sorts as a worst case scenario. It was scary, and we felt we had no control of the outcome. Feeling stuck in a situation can be so frustrating because there is a lack of resolution, and the unknown of what is ahead of you can make you feel really alone. But as Christians, even in these moments, we can find comfort in the promises of God. The song Another in the Fire sings of the promise of God that you are never alone, have never been alone, and will never be alone. The song uses the story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in Daniel 3. They were 3 men who were thrown into a fiery furnace for their faith in God and their refusal to worship the king's image. Now, if you're familiar with this story, you know that their execution did not go as the king planned. Even though the fire was heated up 7 times the usual heat, they survived without any harm being done to them. So miraculous was this moment that the guards who were there even noticed another in the fire with them. Daniel chapter 3 verses 24 and 25 says this: "Then King Nebuchadnezzar leaped to his feet in amazement and asked his advisors, 'Weren't there 3 men that we tied up and threw into the fire?' They replied, 'Certainly, your majesty.' He said, 'Look, I see 4 men walking around in the fire, unbound and unharmed, and the 4th looks like a son of the gods.' The 3 men emerged from the furnace and were given high honors to the courts, and God used their faith to inspire even the king himself to obey God." But that's not the only Bible story this song sings about. The second line of the chorus sings, "There's another in the waters holding back the sea." This is taken from Exodus 14, verse 21 and 22, when Moses held his arms up to allow the Red Sea to stay separated so the people of God could escape the incoming Egyptian army. Then Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and all that night the Lord drove the sea back with a strong east wind and turned it into dry land. The waters were divided, and the Israelites went through the sea on dry ground with a wall of water on their right and on their left. You see, God is always with you. He has been with his people every moment of our existence, literally through fire and water. And he's with you now in the moments you feel stuck and afraid. So, I challenge you to tell yourself every day that you are not alone. You have never been alone, and you will never be alone, because the God who made you and loves you is with you. Like the song says, we can find joy in every difficulty we face, because we know that's where God will be as well. So, consider these 3 questions. Number 1, where have you seen God show up in your life? Number 2, when have you felt stuck and afraid in a situation you didn't know how it would end? And number 3, how will you remind yourself that you are never alone?